of the different things that Peter is known for, having visions is not at the top of the list. But this one vision that he does have that's reported in Scripture is a bit of a doozy. It's loaded with symbolic imagery. So he has this vision of the sheet being lowered from the heavens by its four corners. And in it contains all the animals that he knows about on the earth: mammals, reptiles, birds. That imagery would probably be kind of residual in Peter's mind as a fisherman. He's familiar with nets and how you cast them out and gather them together, and they capture some various things inside. And as a fisherman, you would sort through those things and realize some of this you want to keep because it's okay, good. Other things you just chuck out of no value. So he's probably very familiar with this judgmental perspective. And then he hears this voice that he's supposed to slaughter and eat. Again, this is symbolic language. This is not telling Peter to have some glut fest that he's supposed to kill everything and eat it all, but rather it's supposed to draw forth from him a reaction, which it does. And he says, by no means. I've never been eating these things because in my mind, or I've been told, that these things are unclean. Only some of it is good. And so the voice returns to say, if God's the one that determines the value of something, what's good or clean or unclean, who are you to judge differently? You're thinking as human beings do, not as God does. So the point of the vision, I believe, is to call Peter out on his judgmentalism. And so then the vision is gone, and he goes forth to proclaim to the Gentiles this gospel message, the good news of Jesus Christ, interacting with somebody else that has a vision. At the end of the passage, it mentions that the apostles were then rejoicing that salvation had come to the Gentiles too. Oh, happy day. But that joy, that rejoicing, that acceptance of the Gentiles was kind of short-lived. This belief that God's message is universal, that it's for everyone, is supposed to be good news. We're supposed to spread that around. We're supposed to be accepting of it. But then our judgmental nature just keeps coming back to bite us. So the apostles might have rejoiced that the Gentiles were receiving the grace of God. But then we, as Christians, had our crusades where we murdered thousands of Muslims because they were different from us. After the Crusades were over, then we had our own Reformation, division within our own Christian ranks. And then we had inquisitions to kind of sort those characters out. And we burned heretics at the stake. On and on and on, we have a long history of using our judgmentalism, of valuing one thing over another. Things that are familiar to us, that we're okay with, those are obviously good things. Things that are strange to us, different from ourselves, those must be bad things. And maybe we too need to hear the voice that says, if this came from God, who are you to judge it? Imagine if God put his seal on everything that he created. A tattoo on our backside, a little mold mark that says, made by God. No list of ingredients, simply made by God. It's holy. If we saw God's holiness in everything, how would that affect our judgmentalism? Or would we now be determining God doesn't have it all right? He's got some of the stuff messed up. So I think all of us need to pay attention to Peter's vision. It wasn't just to get him off the boat to go reach out to other people. It's intended for all of us to challenge us in our judgmental ways. Certainly things are going to be different from ourselves. Some of it may frighten us. But if we appreciate that God has been the creator of it all, then maybe it's a little safer for us to explore it with a little less attitude.